feel like all cooking should be done in an assembly line with like awesome people that make you laugh.
Family cooking.
Yep. You know those like people that have rules where like they never let their kids ever be in the kitchen.
I do know those rules.
Yeah, that just it always seemed sort of lonely to me. Like I sort of understand like the whole like sense of like order and control that you get from being like, okay, nope, I know exactly where this goes and nobody's in my way and in a small like kitchen. But I always liked being in the kitchen with people.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's that thing about food being more than just food, right? It's the community and the connection that it creates. I mean, that's part of why we're doing this.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Should I ask you some?
Oh, are we gonna do a table talk question?
I feel like I just felt like the mood.
I think we could. We've got lots of coconutty shrimp to do here
to go through.
All right, Marit's asking me a table talk question. Ooh. I don't know what it is. She's thought about it.
I mean, I did think about it, but now I like have a different direction I want to go in with it, just because of that aforementioned comment. But so I'm gonna say, when did you first experience community in a kitchen, and what made you like want to continue with that?
Well, it's interesting. I do writing, and I just kind of wrote about this in a way, part of this. Well, like I think the first place I fell in love with like the idea of food being connected to community was actually when it was more about the spaces, right? Like kitchens and tables. And I knew that when people like gathered around those areas when I was a kid, that like something, you wanted to be there. That's where stuff was going on. Whether it was happy, whether it was sad, whether it was good, whether it was challenging.
That's where the real stuff happened.
That's where the real stuff happened. And so that was a big part of it. But where that went to a whole new level, where I was actually cooking in community for community, like with the knowledge of that being what I was doing, was in New Mexico when I lived and studied with a man named Felipe Ortega. And he cooked for more people than any other human being I've ever met before. And I did a lot of things while I was there, but one of the things I did was actually assist in the kitchen. There would be times where there would be no people staying with us, and then there'd be times where we would be feeding groups of like 100 people.
Wow.
And we actually didn't have an electric stove. Everything was wood cooked. So that's the short answer to that question.
Sounds delicious and maybe a little stressful.
Well, you know, like if you've worked in any kind of like kitchen, you know, the pace is like intense when you're cooking for like that many people, when you're doing it on a professional level or in that capacity. So yeah, it could be intense, but it was also one of those places where like the deepest, kind of like what just happened with you and I, right? Like the real belly laughs, and where you just like, you can't help but get to know the people you're cooking with. I think if you manage to like cook with someone and don't have an idea of who they are, I'm not sure how that happens really.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of like those really intense situations like make for really intense and good bonding.
I actually so when I first met my husband, who was also Sammy, our wonderful camera person and editor behind the camera, her father. This truly is like a family like deal here.
There it is. Yeah.
One of the first things I said to him, where I knew like, one of the first things I realized when I knew I was falling in love with him, was that I had like fantasies of him being in the kitchen with like cooking meals for him, and like him being here and us cooking together.
That is so beautiful.
It came true.
Yay. Yeah, I think cooking for people and like making them food is like a love language that we both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I love to cook. And we love to eat good food.
Yes.
One of my last memories of my grandmother's when my grandmother, she was probably the first person who taught me to cook something. And I remember like one of my last memories of her is her sitting in her rocking chair by the window reading, like, because she didn't cook that much when she got older. Yeah. But she always read cookbooks and magazines with recipes, and you know, that's something she did right up until the very end.
Wow.
Yep. I do that. I read cookbooks.
Fadoodle, fadoodle, fadoodle doodle doodle. The secret ingredient is love.